come out and look how we've changed in the last 10 or 12 years, and we're an economic development engine for this area. We have close ties with business industry, the petrochemical industry, the gaming industry. We do lots of customized services for many of the business clients here, so I consider SOWELA a business.
Thanks for joining us on Louisiana's Playground Podcast, your roadmap to all things Lake Charles, Louisiana. I'm Brady Raynard.
And I'm Jillian Corder. Authentic stories, the experiences of Southwest Louisiana, and all the food you can handle. We've got it all right here on this podcast, and everything you need to know and build your own personal itinerary here in Lake Charles.
Yeah, I like that. All right, we got a terrific show, as we always do. Episode 49. So yes, we are nearing episode 50, which we've got a fun episode coming your way for episode 50 for sure. That's kind of changing up the dynamic of the show a little bit for that one. But here on episode 49, we swing over to SOWELA to talk to Dr. Neil Aspinwall. A great conversation to see how much more SOWELA is than just a technical community college. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is a really cool episode packed with a ton of information that really kind of makes you want to go back to school in a way.
Yeah, a little bit. Kind of jealous.
Before we get to that conversation, as we always do, we'll start the show with a delicious taste of Southwest Louisiana, a segment we call On V Eats.
This week, we head over to Cotten's Famous Hamburgers. This is a location over on Oak Park Boulevard in kind of the central of Lake Charles. Great hamburger joint.
I mean, look, they've been open since 1982, and they've been doing the same thing since. So you know that they're really good. They've actually been in that location since 1983, and I know you might know the name Cotten's Burgers and not realize that there are two different ones. There's one downtown, and there's one there on Oak Park, but they're not owned by the same person. It's a father and daughter, and so they're completely separate
cute?
Businesses. It is. And so the daughter owns the one in downtown, and Kenneth Cotten, who opened the original in 1982, still owns the one there on Oak Park. And they have a lot of the same recipes, but there are some differences between the two. After talking to Kenny Cotten, the owner there a little bit, to kind of get some background information. So when he opened in 1982, he wanted to do his own restaurant. He had worked at the Colonial Inn, which was a famous restaurant here in Lake Charles, to learn how to do their burgers. And he really mimicked a lot of what he did from the foundation that he learned there. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, these burgers have been made since the 1940s and 50s. That he continued that process into what he's done there. And I like how he said, he's kind of making the smash burger that's now really popular now. He's been making it before it was cool. Yeah.
Yeah. What I love the most is that when we walk into a restaurant like this and you say, oh, can I talk to the owner or a manager? And in this particular case, Brady says, let's talk to the manager a little bit about the restaurant. And they're like, oh, yeah, sure. He's battering onion rings right now. And so Brady gets to walk into the kitchen and talk to the owner of a restaurant that's been around for 40 years now. And he's sitting there actively cooking. He's actively part of it every single day.
Hey, do you think I could grab you when you're done? Yeah, I won't be done.
Yeah. Yeah, I won't be done, but talk to me while I make these onion rings.
Exactly. And I love it. Fresh cut. They do like 100 pounds of onions daily.
Wild.
And it's probably more than that now. And he says, I do a lot of crying to get ready. So you never get used to the onions.
No, not at all. But really, really good food. And this when you walk in, because not only, every table has somebody at it, but there's a line, because they have a drive-thru, there's a line wrapped around the building at lunchtime, ready to get their standard. Like they're ready. And also, while we were there, I love this. Somebody walked in and said, oh, hey, miss, so-and-so who's working the front counter. And she just read out the order to the kitchen. Like he didn't actually order. She just knew it. So you've got these regulars who come in every day and
the employees all have been there for years and in some cases decades. It's just one of those really special
kind of feelings.
For sure.
So I ordered, they have other things on the menu. Let's first say that. They've got other things on the menu other than burgers, but we felt like if we're going to be talking about a burger joint, it's called Cotten's Famous Hamburgers. We might as well order
their shrimp's hand battered, their chicken's hand battered, and they're all very good, but we obviously, like you said, both wanted to do the burger.
Yeah, so I went a little different. I got the egg burger with cheese. So this is, the classic cheeseburger. They put bacon on it and a fried egg, and you just cannot go wrong with that at all. And there's just, you will see, you order this and you know exactly why there's a line wrapped around the building, because it's just so good. And it was out really quickly as well. We ordered, and I mean, within just a couple of minutes, boom, it's right there ready to go. Super fresh as well. Crispy bacon on that sandwich. I'm not the biggest fan of bacon, to be honest. I'm kind of picky about it. That perfect crunch added to
It's
a burger.
really good.
Very, very good. A perfectly fried egg on top. It just adds that extra little bit of texture and creaminess to each bite. Delicious. All that said, all the toppings. I also had I think mayonnaise and mustard, your bacon, your egg. But the patty holds its own. It does not get lost in all that. It is really well seasoned. I think I wrote down notes and I said it was a marriage. It wasn't battling it out for flavors. It was a perfect, every bite was perfect. And I got as my side the shoestring onion rings. So they're not really onion rings, if you will, but they're the shoestring version, where you pick up one and they all kind of are attached, which are my personal favorite.
So very thin bites.
Yes. So I'm not a huge onion gal either. So big chunks of onion rings, I don't particularly love. So the onion strings are exactly the way to go for me. Really good, great crunch, and a perfect onion to batter ratio, if you will.
Well, it would actually work pretty good if you actually put them on the burger too.
Yes. If you go to his daughter's restaurant, there's a burger that has them on there, and it's pretty good. Yeah.
I went with the double cheeseburger. I had bacon. As much as I enjoyed the bacon, I don't really think it needed it.
No.
And probably if I ordered again, I'd probably not get the bacon, not because the bacon wasn't good, because it was very good. I just really prefer to taste the beef over the bacon sometimes.
Yeah.
But the bacon was really good. And in fact, the bun was so soft and fluffy, but it had that light char on the inside face of each of them. That were perfect. The American cheese, I have no better way to say it, it's just so sticky in the best way, right? It's once it melts and it just covers, and it's gooey, and sticky's not the right term, but I'm calling it that. It's sticky cheese. It's just perfect.
We'll come up with a better term.
I'm just that ooey gooey perfectness.
There you go. Ooey gooey, I like it.
And sticky in terms of how it grabs, it holds on to the meat. It's perfect. And in fact, I said that. Texture, size, meat ratio, everything about it is engineered to be the perfect burger at the end of the day. It's just tall enough to where you can fit it in your mouth, but it's such a full bite.
Yes. Well, same thing with mine. So anytime you get an egg on a burger, you feel the need to sometimes cut it down the middle and eat it in sections because it can kind of fall apart. This one did not.
You don't have to you don't have to half this burger. You can eat it like a full sandwich there. And the fries themselves, they were crunchy, standard cut, nice amount of potato in each bite. And honestly, despite them being a fried French fry, it wasn't overly greasy.
Not at all.
And they obviously work great in ketchup, which is such a, not all fries are perfect in ketchup.
Yeah.
These fries are.
Yeah.
Right?
They're very, very good.
And so it's hard to really find any fault with anything that the burger brings to the table. That smash burger flavor, and they have the old fashioned that they do in a lot more onions that a lot of people really enjoy. And that's probably what they would want most people to order. Like you said, neither of us are big onion fans. However, even when you don't do it, it's still just a perfect cheeseburger. And I go simple: ketchup, pickles, cheese. I like it very simple, and it's just phenomenal.
Yeah. This is one of those restaurants, again, you can't go wrong with what you're ordering. It's a classic. It's consistent. You know that every time you go there that this is what it's going to be.
Yeah.
Which just goes such a long way. And on top of that, the price. I know we generally don't dive into prices here on All Eats, but this is one of those places that they know exactly who their customer is, and they're not trying to overcharge you for a burger and fries at all. This is a super reasonable place. It's quick, it's fast. You can go through the drive-thru or swing in. It's just
I think with large sides, 2 burgers, one of which was a double cheeseburger and drinks, it was right at about $20.
It's just one of those, like you said, a classic burger joint. This is the place.
Yep. north of I-210 in Lake Charles, just off, you go down Enterprise, you can take Oak Park Boulevard. It's near the hospitals as well. So it's a pretty convenient location. Even if you're just passing through, you just take the 210 exit and then go from there. And it's a really quick stop by and is worth every second that you spend ordering it, because you won't wait too long, even if there is a long line.
Yeah, if you see a long line out front or inside, if you see a long line of cars, though, in that drive-through, do not let that deter you from pulling in, because they move really quickly in there, and it's totally worth it.
From a great meal to a great guest, we welcome on Dr. Neil Aspinwall, the Chancellor of SOWELA Technical Community College right here in Lake Charles. He began his career in education in 1986 and has been SOWELA's Chancellor since 2012. And SOWELA has been the better for it. The school has been ranked as the top community college in Louisiana for the past 5 years by Wallet Hub and Niche. And I think you'll see why after our conversation today. Welcome to the show, Dr. Aspinwall.
Thank you. Glad you're having me here.
So Southwest Louisiana, known for big city amenities, small town charm. It makes for a variety of experiences that people can add to their itinerary. And that's what we do here on the show. We try to tell people what they need to do when they visit Lake Charles in Southwest Louisiana. So before we really get started in our conversation about SOWELA, we're going to ask you a few rapid fire questions to see how you play in Louisiana's playground. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. So crawfish or gumbo?
Gumbo.
Ooh, a quick answer. Why is that?
Never got that. When I was growing up, we used crawfish to fish with, not to eat. So
it was bait only.
Yes.
So
Still can never get past that, huh?
So Brady's follow-up question to every guest who says gumbo is there a gumbo season?
I consider gumbo season wintertime.
Okay.
Well, look, at least he isn't a native to Louisiana. He's just made it his home.
Right.
So I don't hold him to the same standard that I would, because he didn't grow up with it.
He gets
so for
upset
him,
whenever people say yes, there's a gumbo season, because he thinks it should be year round. 120 degrees outside. This man.
I had gumbo yesterday, for example.
Yeah. Okay.
So like sometimes I think there's a season for coffee, and that's wintertime, but many people year round.
Coffee is year round.
Yeah.
It's around the clock. It's at all. I made a cup of coffee last night at 10:30.
Ooh, wow.
She's a bold one.
Coffee lover.
I'm a
bold
coffee
one.
lover.
Black or sugar and cream?
Oh no, mostly creamer.
Yes.
You like a little
she
coffee
likes-
with your creamer.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's me. It's basically like the same thing I fixed our kids. It's like what we call choc, which is, essentially like coffee milk, chocolate milk, That's what I like. That's, yeah.
I see the expression on Brady's face. No.
He doesn't even drink coffee at all.
No,
so.
I don't.
Okay, so our next question, poolside or beachside?
Beachside.
Okay, why?
Just like being outdoors, feeling the wind, smelling the salt. Yeah.
Just that overall.
The noises, the ambiance, all of it
Yeah.
just plays together well. Even if you can deal with the sand, it all plays together well.
Okay, concert or comedy show?
A comedy show.
Oh, okay.
That surprises me. Why?
Love listening to some of the older comics, and even some of the newer ones. It sometimes allows me to relax and just laugh and laugh at myself.
Yes, I always think that it's a true escape.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever you're listening to something and you're just able to laugh out loud at it.
And to listen to a lot of them, you do have to have, like you said, to laugh at yourself. You've got to be comfortable enough and see yourself enough in a certain way to be like, I can't take these things seriously, because at the end of I think that's what probably the biggest disconnect with comedy comes from, is that people take what they're saying at face value.
Right.
You have to give up your right to be offended when you listen to comedy.
Sure.
And so I think
agree.
that's a big part of it.
We all take ourselves too serious sometimes.
Uh-huh.
Well, let's talk very seriously then about SOWELA Technical Community College. What, obviously we understand what it is, but if you could kind of give us a rundown of SOWELA and its mission here in Lake Charles and the Lake area.
Well, SOWELA just celebrated its 85th anniversary last year, so we're not a young institution, but even from the very inception, 1938, we've been what people would call a vocational technical school. We're still technical in nature, but I would consider us now a comprehensive community college. We still have the trades, but we have a transfer aspect. We have 500 to 600 students who transfer to go get a 4-year degree every year. We serve a lot of the business and industry clients. Basically, we train people and we put them to work. As you mentioned at the beginning of the show, we've been ranked the #1 community college in Louisiana for the past 5 years, and that's something that we don't go looking for. They take our numbers nationally and rank us. So SOWELA is a well-known name. Most people, I'm sure they realize that stands for Southwest Louisiana.
I had to actually explain that to someone the other day. So there are a few people who might not get that.
So, we're well known since we're 85 years old, but even not being a Louisiana native, I'm still surprised at the number of people who really know the name, but they have no idea what we do. Because, sometimes we're a little isolated out on 210. You have to go there to see who we are. And most people said, oh, yeah, I remember the little trade school out on the edge of town. But come out and take a look now. As my famous statement says, we're not your granddaddy's old trade school anymore.
That's what I want to touch on, because I think sometimes people hear trade school or vocational college, technical college, and think of this, little sister to a bigger university, maybe something that has more enrollment. But I think SOWELA is so much more than that. Maybe that's just a bad rep that these schools have had for a really long time, and it's just evolved so much.
It has. We're one of 12. SOWELA is part of the Louisiana Community and Technical College system. But again, when I first came, there was a push sometimes to change our name. But we're not, because we wanted to change it to be something more sophisticated. And I kept saying, you have to spend millions of dollars to get a name like SOWELA because it matches us so well. But many people were thinking, well, if you change the name, you're going to get away from your mission. I always said, we'll never get away from being a trade school. And I use that in a loose term because we're in the workforce development business. But we are, as you said, so much more than that. Come out and look how we've changed in the last 10 or 12 years. And we're an economic development engine for this area. We have close ties with business industry, the petrochemical industry, the gaming industry. We do lots of customized services for many of the business clients here. So I consider SOWELA a business. We're a higher ed institution, but we're a business.
Yeah. I mean, pardon the pun, I guess, but you truly are a pipeline, if you will, to industry.
Right. And sometimes I get on my soapbox here because I was guilty of the same perception, but many people perceive SOWELA as a lower level institution. And many parents, and I was the same way, many parents have the perception if I don't send my child to a 4-year school, then somehow I failed. That's a wrong perception. That's a wrong opinion. SOWELA is accredited by SACS, Southern Association of Colleges and Schools Commission on Colleges. This is the same organization that accredits Texas A&M, University of Georgia, McNeese, UL. So we have to meet the same standards as any 4-year institution. So it's okay to send your child, or it's okay to go to a 2-year institution because it is a college. And you're going to, if you want to transfer, you can. But if this is what you want to do to get a job, it's a great place to go.
Yeah.
I love so much of the semantics of what you were saying in terms of SOWELA being so much more, and especially I think you can see it so much with how forward-facing you guys are with the public and the things that you guys do. For example, the new Culinary Arts, Gaming, and Hospitality Center, the state-of-the-art building that you guys do, and then all the events now that you guys host, whether it be stuff with the Food and Wine Festival, your weekly lunches that are available for public consumption, if you can get a ticket, all of those things where you guys are very upfront with what you guys do in there.
I mentioned the term a business. I do consider us a business, and we have to work closely with our business and industry clients. Although we're a state of Louisiana institution, the state only gives us about 48% of our annual operating budget. So the remaining part of the budget we generate through tuition and fees, contract training, the meals that you mentioned you can come out and have. But a big part of our success is the relationships we develop with business and industry, because they guide and direct what we do many times in the classroom and what programs that we offer. Because if we continue to offer programs that we've offered the last 25, 30 years and don't review those, after a while, they're just not viable anymore. And if we don't do anything about that, industry will stop hiring our graduates. And that's the meat of what we do.
That state-of-the-art center that you guys built last year, 2023, can you give me a rundown of everything that's kind of in there? I know you can't give me everything, but you understand kind of where I'm going with that.
March of 2023, we opened what was called the Culinary Gaming Hospitality Center. Everyone knows that gaming has grown in our area. There's lots of training going on east Louisiana in New Orleans, but as we began to survey and talk to individuals for the huge casinos, there was really no training. No one was providing the training they needed, so we designed this facility. So it's a 28,000 square foot facility, cost a little over $10.2 million. But we moved our current culinary program into there. If you have not visited that, you will see some of the most modern and up-to-date kitchens.
Spectacular.
We have a hot foods lab, a pastry baking lab. We have a prep kitchen. We have a dealer school. We work closely with the casinos here, and we train their dealers. As a matter of fact, about a month ago, our next class just graduated, 12 students, and they auditioned. The individuals from the Golden Nugget, La Bears, and Horseshoe came out and they watched these students as they played their games, roulette, blackjack, craps, and then they see if they're good enough and they offer them employment. We also have mock hotel rooms and suites because whether you know it or not, there's an art to setting up and cleaning a room. If you go visit any nice hotel, you want a very nice, clean, set-up room. So there's an art to that. So we do all of that because most people, when you think of casinos, you think of the gaming floor, but there's surveillance, there's security, there's maintenance, there's all kind of things that go on in those. So we offer those skills and those jobs to put those students to work.
It's so incredible because talk about a business that's listening to the needs of its community
Right.
and its region, and tailoring that education just for this workforce.
Mm-hmm. Right. Again, I touched on this, not only the culinary program or the hospitality or gaming, but every program we have on campus has what's called a program advisory committee. And the members of these committees work in those specific industries. So they meet monthly or quarterly, and they come together with the program instructors and tell them what we're doing right, how our students are performing, what we're doing wrong, what we should change, and we listen to them. Because again, those are the individuals who hire our students. And if our students get out in the field and they can't perform, it's a bad reflection on us. So we take those meetings very seriously, and we make changes very quickly.
Well, the aspect of SOWELA that's gotten me on campus a few times over the last few years has been the culinary aspect. As someone that really enjoys eating.
Big eater.
We mentioned the meals, and I guess I want to make sure that I give you guys enough credit here. So it's the hottest ticket in town is what I've called it. You've got about 30 minutes to get the ticket when you
Right.
are signed up on the website, which you can go to the SOWELA culinary website and you can find out where you can.
Brady got us tickets one time, and then I couldn't come because
Oh,
I had
wow.
a meeting, and I was devastated.
Yeah, so their culinary program with all their future chefs, people that will be the heads of chefs within the next 10 years, right? After they kind of work their way up in the kitchen, but they're coming in with invaluable experience, are cooking these incredible meals for a little over $10, $12 for the entire 5-course meal that you
Right.
get. And I mean, you've got things. I think one time we went and it was Indian-based food, so food based from India, and it was incredible. Some of the best, incredible curry, and the desserts are amazing at the end. And I want to give you guys so much credit. It is such a cool reflection. You're tasting the chefs of tomorrow,
Mm-hmm.
and they work really hard to get it done, and it's all done very, very, very good. It's authentic, as close as they can be to the recipes, and so I just want to give you guys so much credit for that. And I am when it is monthly that it happens, I'm fighting for that ticket every time.
Well, you have an inside connection now, Brady. So when you want to come, just give me a call. But I'm glad you mentioned that because this, although you sit down, you enjoy a wonderful meal for a reasonable price, but it's a learning environment. The students are there performing; they're being watched by their instructors and the chefs, and the public gets to see what we do. So it's a great way for them to prepare and get themselves ready to go out into the workforce. But yeah, you're right. The meals are wonderful. Matter of fact, I don't get to experience them very often because I'm the same way. I have to get on the list, and usually by the time I see it, it's full. So the chefs say, well, just come over and we'll feed you. So, but the food is wonderful. It really is.
We talked about the hospitality sector overall, and I saw a study done by the Workforce Commission that across Louisiana, they projected to be up by 15% in 2 years across the board. How do you feel like SOWELA really ensures that all of its programs align with that growing need? I think we've kind of talked about it a little bit, but how forward focused are you guys thinking about that?
We always are. Let me tell you what we do. Every year, we take 1/3 of our programs and we do what's called a program health index. We review retention, placement, graduation rates, how the students are doing in the field, and we review the notes from the advisory committee meetings. Unfortunately, sometimes we run across a program that's low enrolled. The students aren't being hired. So we have to make some tough decisions to whether we have to make some changes or we teach that program out. But when we do that, we uncover sometimes the deficiencies. We correct those because, again, the end result is how can we place those students in the workforce? Because if students aren't getting a job, we're wasting our time.
Do you feel like because you guys are a smaller school compared to a 4-year institution, that you're able to be much more flexible when it comes to changing curriculums and changing a lot of the focuses?
We're very responsive. Again, our ties with business and industry are the key. I always joke when I was in Georgia, we would say that when you go to a 4-year school and you ask them to develop a new program or make changes, most of them will take out their calendars and begin to count. How long it will take us to do this. When you ask us, I look at my watch and I say, how long is it going to take us to do this? Because business and industry does not have time for red tape or bureaucracy, because if we can't do it, they'll find someone that can. Mm-hmm. So that's how we respond very quickly, because we have to.
I love that.
When it comes to, again, like I said, it's a pipeline of students into industry. Do you track your success record of how many of these students are getting jobs in general, but particularly here locally?
We do. Matter of fact, that's one of the criteria that our system grades us on every year. Are your students, first of all, are you retaining the students? Are you graduating the students? And are you placing the students? Because what we do is we have to do surveys to determine are they in field, out of field, and how many are those. Last year, 23 year and 24 year, 100% of the culinary students were placed in field in the local area. So they're being hired. Many of those, the casinos are the big boys that stand at the front, and they like to take a lot of those, but many of the students don't want to go to the casinos. They want to go to the smaller areas. So there's a very good pipeline. The struggle that we work with many times, not only culinary, but many of our technical programs, prime example is aviation. Many of the aviation companies take those students before they can finish the program because they've gotten to a certain point and a certain certification so they can go to work. And we say, please don't do that. We want you to take the students, but please, or if you hire them, require them to finish the program. Because again, if we don't graduate the students and they complete, then that's a ding on us from the Louisiana Board of Regents, and they'll ask you, why aren't your students completing? They have to complete, or you're going to have to do something different in the program.
Well, you just brought up aviation, so let's talk about that for a second, because that program has expanded.
It has.
Just this year, right?
It has. Fortunately, I don't know if you were, I think it was September of last year, or let me back up a little bit. Remember the big windstorms that came through, Laura and Delta.
Sure.
We had a huge Boeing 727 that was almost destroyed. Every day you don't find those huge jumbo jets, so we didn't know what we were going to do. But fortunately, the United States Air Force donated a J-Star aircraft, a Boeing 707. This is a $73 million piece of equipment. So it's currently being refinished and repainted, and we'll unveil it in about 30 days. So hopefully you'll be able to come to that. But aviation, yes, is expanded because of the industries. Just around SOWELA, you have Northrop Grumman, you have Citadel, Landlock Aviation. We provide a lot of those graduates to those corporations. And it's such a highly specialized field. It's regulated by the FAA. That those students have to spend hours and hours to take the certification exam. So aviation is a great example.
Yeah, and being right there with your neighbor, Chenault Airport, that's pretty important.
While I'm here, I always plug a little bit for us. We're in the process of developing a flight training school. It's a natural progression for us. So we hope early next year we will either break ground in conjunction with Chenault.
Yeah, not just maintenance on these aircraft, but actually flying them.
Training pilots. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
We had talked about a little bit about being, kind of forward facing, but there's so much interaction with the public that SOWELA does that I guess when I kind of think that's what I think I've got you guys most highly for. Yes, you're development, but you're working alongside the public. You're showing off what you guys are doing and your students. What all do you are you kind of proud of under that umbrella of working with the public, your students, and then the school as well?
Well, we'll start with the culinary. We're very proud. You mentioned earlier we hosted the Louisiana Food and Wine Festival last year. We will do it again this year. Matter of fact, in September, we'll host some culinary master classes for the individuals, and then a jazz brunch, on Sunday, September 22nd. We work closely, as I mentioned, with our business industry clients. One example is Cheniere Energy. The LNG field is growing and growing, so we've added LNG to our curriculum. Cheniere actually developed what they call an apprenticeship program. They identify students in our PTech, industrial instrumentation, chem lab, machine tool technology programs in their last year, and if they can meet their requirements, they provide scholarships in their last year, and once the students graduate, they put them on the job for 12 months, let them work, and if they perform well, they offer them employment. Wonderful opportunity, and those students leave making, anywhere from $25, $30 an hour, and then it goes up from there.
Another thing, some of your students compete in Skills USA.
Yes.
I just heard a story just recently. We did a story with some of your students and how they compete on this national level to show off their skills, and it's like real world test. They're put to the test on the spot in their different field of study. And they really show out. I feel like SOWELA is extremely impressive in that every year.
We win. They start at the state level and they go to the national level, which is Atlanta. They just came back about 3 weeks ago. We had one student. Of course, we compete, culinary. We compete in aviation. We compete in welding, digital arts and communications, photography. We had one student, Madeline Guillory, who for the first time ever won gold in the T-shirt and the pen design nationally. It's never been done before, and SOWELA did it. But these are students who are competing with students all over the nation, and we bring back gold and bronze consistently every year.
And I think that that particular competition is just really interesting to me because I feel like it's easier, I should say, to do your very best work and then bring it to a competition and say, here, judge my very best work I've ever done. But these are people that are put on the spot and told, okay, now here's your parameters, go.
Right.
And I think that really shows what these people, when Madeline goes out into the real world and needs a job,
right,
like everyone knows what she's able to do,
right,
which is really impressive.
Absolutely.
So in today's world, is the need for trade and finding a trade specific, specialized skills probably more needed now than possibly ever with just the influx of technology and the different things that kind of come, having very specific trades? It feels like I think you could make an argument that the need for it now is bigger than it ever has been.
I agree with you 100%. I'll go back to we were discussing a few minutes ago, and sometimes I get on the soapbox here because there's a personal story here that I can relate. I'll tell you about a young man that graduated high school about 8 years ago, very smart in math and science. So his mom and daddy said, we're going to enroll you in university, engineering, because it's a great field. You make good money, have a good career. And he did. He went and stayed for 2 years. After 2 years, he came to his daddy and said, I know it's what you think is best. He says, but I don't like it, and I'm not going to do it anymore. He said, Daddy, after he had a fit, he said, well, you can't waste 2 years. I want you to go out to SOWELA, look around, see if you find a program that you know you will like, have a good living, have a good career. So he did, looked around, chose PTech. So all his credits from the university transferred over. He took just a year of PTech classes, graduated, I think, in the December ceremony, and about 3 months later, Sasol. Everyone knows Sasol hired him. This is a young man, I'd say he's only 21 and had what many people say only an associate degree. That's all he had. Well, his starting salary was around $58,000. About 6 months later, he got a $16,000 raise. His first year on the job, he makes a little over $200,000. Now, works 12-hour shifts, sometimes long schedules, but I tell that story because the young man was my son, my youngest son.
Wow.
And I pushed him, and nothing wrong with that. I'm a product of the university system. That's how I make my living. That's how I've made my life. But I knew it was best for him. But it wasn't, and again, let me say this first and foremost, I'm not bashing 4 years schools. I'm a product of those. But it's not for everyone, and you can come to SOWELA, you can have a great career. And I tell him sometimes, I say, Marshall, you can go back and finish that engineering degree one day. He looks at me seriously, he said, why? Why would I want to?
Why would I need to?
I said, good. You're out of my house. You're paying your own bills. You do your own thing. You know,
I like that you admitted that you had a little bit of a fit.
I did.
A little bit of one.
Because again, every commencement ceremony we have, one of the things I tell the graduates is don't let this be your last stop. Mm-hmm. If you can continue and get more education, it's only going to make you valuable. You're going to make more money over your lifetime. I said, and if you have the opportunity, keep going. But don't think that associate degree will not serve you well, because it will, especially in our area.
Yeah.
We have the jobs that those students can command those huge salaries.
Yeah. We've got to drop that only. Like
yes,
you said, we
absolutely.
say only an associate's degree. We've got to drop that.
Because I say we're fortunate in this area to have McNeese and SOWELA in the same town. The students have lots of opportunities.
Yeah, right here at home.
Right.
All the options you need.
And as you said before, the credit swap.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so it's such a valuable agreement that you guys made with McNeese. It's a few years ago now,
yes.
right?
We have about 7 programs with transfer agreements that they will take our credits and they'll just finish. They'll give our students a credit for a block system of credit, and they finish and get their bachelor's degree.
Do y'all have a similar program with like Calcasieu Parish schools and things like that as far as
we have,
credits go?
I don't know if you've heard of the Calcasieu Parish's VIP program, Virtual Instruction Program. It's where we certify their teachers, and they provide college credit. English, math, psycho, some of the gen ed courses. And this is done at the Lake Charles Boston Academy, and it's synchronous learning through all the rural high schools in Calcasieu Parish. So the credit they earn theirs, they can count it towards an associate degree, or they can count it towards a bachelor's degree.
That's wonderful. That's wonderful.
I had that, not through SOWELA, but I had that through LSUS.
Oh, okay.
And so
I was like, were you a
that
Bipsy kid?
dual enrollment is such a key factor. So parents, if you do have a kid in high school, man, fight for that dual enrollment, because that saved me a few hours in college that I didn't have to take.
It'll save parents money. You won't be using the HOPE or the scholarships, during the time.
How can listeners learn more about SOWELA and the programs? Maybe they're interested in enrolling, or if they're interested in talking to SOWELA. Well,
naturally, you can go to our website, www.sowela.edu. If students are interested in enrolling, we have a one-stop center on campus. The phone number there is 337-421-6565. Or if you're interested in opportunities or a way that you can support our institution, we have a SOWELA Foundation. And that number is 337-421-6903. And all of these options are on our website. One of the things I mentioned is that, or I haven't mentioned, is we do have a foundation. One of the things SOWELA does not do is participate in the federal student loan program. And the reason we don't do that is we don't want our students leaving with debt. That's a good thing, but the downside to that is we have to do lots of work every year through the foundation to raise scholarship funds. 95% of the money that we raise through our foundation, we give back to our students. We don't pay salaries or buy equipment or sponsor programs. We give it back to our students. So anyone wants to make a donation to our foundation, you'll be rest assured it goes back to our students.
Supporting students here at SOWELA.
Which, once again, kind of connects to this time now more than ever, where times are tough on a lot of people's wallets. A trade school is a great alternative, especially if you get the credits early, and then if you want to continue your education. So,
and following up on
valuable.
The cost and tuition, our system has not raised tuition in 7 years, and we won't raise it this coming year either.
Wow. Yeah. So obviously an affordable option, and one that if you are looking to jump into the workforce a little bit quicker, this is a really great option for people. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Neil.
Well, you're welcome. I appreciate y'all having me.
Thanks again to Dr. Aspinwall for joining us here on the show. And thank you, yes, you listening right there on your phone, for taking time out of your day to join us on the podcast. Or if you're on the computer, you're included as well. If you enjoyed the show, please leave us a follow, leave us a rating or a review. We appreciate it.
It helps us grow our audience and further share the unique experiences that Lake Charles and Southwest Louisiana has to offer. Just go to visitlakecharles.org/podcast for more episodes, advice on where to eat, and events happening this weekend. I'm Jillian Corder.
And I'm Brady Raynard. Thanks again for coming to play at Louisiana's Playground. Sit you.